Nora Moore was 3 paragraphs away from finishing her proposal when she realized the problem. No sugar. Coffee without sugar at 10 p.m. was torture she didn't deserve. Especially not tonight. Not with a deadline tomorrow morning. Tell me where you're watching from, because tonight you'll discover that sometimes the best relationships start with borrowed sugar and unicorn slippers. The grocery store was closed. Her apartment was practically empty. Boxes still unpacked from the move last week, which meant basic supplies were scattered somewhere in cardboard chaos, or simply non-existent. Her options were simple. Give up on coffee, drink it black, or do what normal people did in normal apartment buildings. Ask a neighbor. She looked through the peephole into the hallway. Empty. Silent. 10 p.m. on a Tuesday meant most people were home. Someone had to have sugar. The apartment 3 doors to the left had lights on. Good sign. Nora stepped into the hallway wearing a long black robe that covered everything but was definitely sleepwear. Hair still damp from the shower she'd taken 20 minutes ago. No makeup. And fluffy unicorn slippers that were a gift from a friend and that she secretly loved. Not exactly the first impression she'd planned to make on her neighbors, but also 10 p.m., sugar, caffeine emergency. Priorities. She knocked on the door. 3 polite knocks. Waited. Nothing. Knocked again. A little harder. Footsteps. Someone approaching. She straightened her posture, prepared her friendly smile of sorry to bother you, but do you have sugar? The door opened, and Nora completely forgot how to form words. The man in the doorway was easily 6'2", broad shoulders filling out a black dress shirt with sleeves rolled to his elbows. Dark hair combed back with a few strands falling across his forehead. Strong jaw with stubble like he hadn't shaved today but looked good that way. Dark brown eyes, almost black, studying her with an intensity that made something in her stomach tighten. He was absurdly attractive. Like stepped out of an Italian cologne commercial attractive. Like how do you live 3 doors away and I didn't know attractive. And she was wearing unicorn slippers. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. The man waited. Eyebrows slightly raised. Expectant. Say something, Nora. Anything. Stop staring at him like an idiot. Hi, she managed. Sorry to bother you. I know it's late. He said nothing. Just kept looking at her with that intensity that was half intimidating and half something else she wasn't going to analyze right now. I just moved in, to 12C. She pointed vaguely in the direction of her apartment. And I realized I'm out of sugar. I have to finish some work and I need coffee, but coffee without sugar at 10 p.m. is basically torture, you know? Stop. Talking. Nora. So I thought I'd ask if you happen to have any sugar I could borrow. I promise I'll return it tomorrow. Or buy you a new bag. Whatever works better. Silence. He studied her for another second. Gaze dropping briefly to the unicorn slippers, traveling up the black robe, stopping at her damp hair. Nora internally. He's judging me. Definitely judging. Damp hair, robe, unicorn slippers, face of someone who's been working all day and just wants coffee. First impression? Complete disaster. Great job, Nora. Really excellent. Then he spoke. Deep voice, slightly rough, with a trace of accent she couldn't immediately place, but that did strange things to her breathing. Wait here. He turned and disappeared into the apartment, left the door slightly open. Nora stood in the hallway having a silent internal crisis. Okay. Absurdly handsome neighbor who lives 3 doors away, who has a voice that should be illegal, who just saw you in unicorn slippers at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday. Excellent first impression, Nora. Really excellent. He returned holding a glass jar full of sugar, extended it to her. How much do you need? Just a few spoons. Seriously, I'll return it tomorrow. Keep the jar. I have another. She took it. Tried not to notice how their fingers almost touched. Failed. Noticed completely. Really? Thank you. You saved my life. Or at least my deadline. She smiled, trying to seem normal, not like someone internally freaking out about the situation. I'm Nora, by the way. Nora Moore. Moved here last week. Andrea. He didn't offer a last name, didn't elaborate, just stood there, leaning against the door frame, arms crossed, looking at her with that intensity that seemed to be his default setting. Nora waited for him to say more. He didn't. Okay then. Man of few words, handsome but mysterious, classic enigmatic neighbor type from movies. Andrea, she repeated. Thank you again. Really, you saved my coffee, and consequently my work, and consequently my sanity. Stop. Talking. So good night. She turned to leave before continuing to make a fool of herself. Nora. She stopped, looked back. Yes? His eyes had something she couldn't decipher, almost amused, almost interested. Good night. The way he said it, deep, deliberate, with a look that lingered half a second longer than necessary, made her stomach tighten again. Good night, she repeated. Slightly breathless, which was ridiculous, because she'd only walked 3 doors. She returned to her apartment, closed the door, leaned against it, looked at the jar of sugar in her hands, looked at the unicorn slippers. How does someone that gorgeous live 3 doors away and I didn't know? She murmured to the empty apartment. And why? Why was I wearing these slippers? But also, he'd given her the whole jar. Hadn't judged the slippers too much. Had a voice that did things to her. And had said goodnight in a way that felt like a promise of something. Nora returned to her laptop, added sugar to her coffee, tried to focus on the proposal, failed miserably because all she could think about was Andrea, neighbor, 3 doors away, dark eyes, deep voice, arms she definitely hadn't noticed, lie, had noticed completely. This move to New York was getting interesting. 3 days later, Nora knocked on Andrea's door again. This time she was prepared. Jeans, simple black sweater, hair dried and styled, actual shoes. Not unicorn slippers. Progress. She held a container of chocolate chip cookies she'd baked that morning. The door opened. Andrea, again in dark clothes, this time a charcoal sweater that looked expensive and fit perfectly. Same intense gaze. Hi, Nora said brightly. I brought these as a thank you, for the sugar. She extended the container. He took it, looked inside, then back at her. You baked. I stress bake. Had a difficult client yesterday. Made cookies. Figured you deserved some since you saved my deadline. Something that might have been amusement flickered across his face. Stress baking. Very therapeutic. Also delicious. Try one. He opened the container, took a cookie, bit into it, chewed thoughtfully. His expression didn't change much, but something in his eyes softened. Good. Just good. I need more feedback than that. Very good. Better. Thank you for the glowing review. She grinned. Anyway, that's all. Just wanted to say thanks properly. I'll let you get back to your evening. Nora. She paused. Yes? The sugar jar. You can keep it. I brought it back. She pulled it from her bag. All clean. Keep it anyway. You'll need it again. Was that an invitation? Was he saying he expected her to come back? Confident that I'll run out of sugar again? You work late, drink a lot of coffee, you'll run out. He'd noticed. He'd paid attention to the detail about her working late, about needing coffee. Fair point, she conceded. Then I'll keep it, for emergency sugar situations. Good, that word again. Simple, final, but with weight. Good night, Andrea. Good night, Nora. She walked back to her apartment, feeling his eyes on her until she closed her door. Over the next 2 weeks, they kept running into each other. Elevator, hallway, building lobby. Each time, brief conversations. Nothing deep, but comfortable. Easy. Nora learned small things. Andrea ran some kind of import business. Wines, specifically. He kept strange hours like she did. He drank espresso, black, no sugar. He was observant, noticed everything, spoke little, but when he did, it mattered. And he was always wearing dark clothes. Black, charcoal, navy, expensive fabrics, tailored perfectly. Sometimes a full suit. Sometimes just dress shirt and slacks. But always put together in a way that suggested money and taste. She also noticed other things. Men in suits occasionally entering his apartment. Conversations in Italian in the hallway, tones serious. The way building staff treated him with a certain deference that seemed like more than normal politeness. But she didn't ask. Wasn't her business. He was just her attractive neighbor who'd given her sugar and seemed to enjoy their brief interactions. Until the elevator incident. Nora was coming back from the grocery store, arms full of bags, because she'd foolishly thought she could carry everything in one trip. She made it to the elevator, pressed the button with her elbow, waited. The doors opened. Andrea was inside. "Need help?" he asked, taking in her overloaded situation. "I've got it," she insisted, stepping in. "I'm stronger than I look." The doors closed. The elevator started up. Then one of her bags tore. Apples everywhere. Rolling across the elevator floor. She lunged to catch them, other bags slipping. A jar of pasta sauce tumbled out. Andrea caught it before it hit the ground. "Okay, I might need help," she admitted. He gathered the apples calmly, efficiently, held the torn bag together. "Which floor?" 12, same as you." "I know." Of course he knew. They rode up in silence, Andrea holding her broken bag together, Nora feeling embarrassed and grateful in equal measure. At their floor, he followed her to her door. "Keys?" "Jacket pocket. Left side." He retrieved them without comment, unlocked her door, carried the broken bag inside. Nora's apartment was still half unpacked. Boxes stacked in corners. Furniture minimal. It looked temporary. Unfinished. She suddenly felt self-conscious about the state of things. Andrea set the groceries on her kitchen counter, looked around. His gaze was assessing, but not judgmental. "You moved alone," he observed. "Yes. New job opportunity. Regional director position opened up here. Too good to pass up." "From where?" "Chicago." He nodded slowly. "That's a significant move." It was time for a change. New city, new challenges, new life. She started unpacking the groceries. "Thank you for the rescue. I really thought I could carry all that." "Ambition over practicality." She laughed. "Story of my life." He leaned against her counter, arms crossed, watching her put things away. The position was casual, but his presence filled her small kitchen in a way that made her hyper-aware of every movement. "You work from home," he said. Not a question. "Mostly. I'm a literary agent. Represent authors, negotiate their book deals. Lots of phone calls, emails, manuscript reading. Occasional meetings in the city, but mostly remote. That explains the late hours. And the desperate need for sugar at 10 p.m. She smiled. "What about you? You mentioned import business?" "Wine, Italian wines primarily, family business." "That explains the Italian. You noticed. Hard not to when you're speaking it in the hallway." She closed the fridge. "I don't speak it myself, but I recognize it." "Would you like to learn?" The question caught her off guard. "Learn Italian. I could teach you, if you're interested." Was Andrea Benedetto offering to spend time with her, teaching her Italian? "I'd like that," she said carefully. "But I should warn you, I'm terrible with languages. We'll see." That confidence again. Quiet. Certain. "Okay then." She met his eyes. "When do we start?" "Tomorrow. 7 p.m. My place. I'll make dinner. Her heart did something complicated in her chest. You cook? I'm Italian. Of course I cook. Fair point. She tried not to look too excited about this development. Dinner at his place, Italian lessons, time together. What should I bring? Just yourself. He moved toward her door, paused, turned back. Nora, wear what you want. Unicorn slippers are acceptable. Then he left, closing her door behind him. Nora stood in her kitchen, hand pressed to her chest, grinning like an idiot. He'd invited her to dinner. He'd mentioned the unicorn slippers. He wanted to teach her Italian. This was definitely a date. Right? This had to be a date. She grabbed her phone, called her best friend Rachel back in Chicago. He invited me to dinner. The hot neighbor? His name is Andrea, and yes, the hot neighbor. Tomorrow night. His place. He's going to teach me Italian. Oh my God, that's so romantic. Italian lessons? Nora, this man is smooth. I know, I'm freaking out. What do I wear? What do I say? What if I'm terrible at Italian and he regrets inviting me? You wear something that says I'm interested but not trying too hard. You be yourself. And if you're terrible at Italian, you laugh about it. This is good, Nora. You deserve good. It's probably nothing. Just a neighbor being nice. Neighbors don't offer to teach you Italian over homemade dinner. This man is interested. Trust me. Nora wanted to trust her. Wanted to believe that Andrea's invitation meant what she hoped it meant. She spent the next day trying not to obsess. Failed completely. By 6:30 p.m., she'd changed outfits 3 times, settled on dark jeans and a soft burgundy sweater that was casual but flattering. At exactly 7 p.m., she knocked on his door. Andrea opened it wearing black jeans and a dark gray Henley. Casual. Devastating. His hair was slightly damp like he'd showered recently. Come in. His apartment was nothing like she expected. Clean lines, minimalist furniture, but warm, comfortable. Floor-to-ceiling windows showing the city lights. Kitchen open to the living area, currently filled with the smell of something incredible. What are you making? She asked, following him to the kitchen. Cacio e pepe. Simple but requires technique. She watched him work. Confident movements, practiced ease. He added pasta to boiling water, grated cheese, ground pepper in a pan. Can I help? Watch first. Learn. Then next time you help. Next time. He was already assuming a next time. Okay, teacher, I'm watching. He explained as he worked. The importance of pasta water, the ratio of cheese to pepper, how to create the creamy sauce without scrambling the eggs. His voice was steady, patient, hands moving with precision. 10 minutes later, he plated 2 portions. Simple. Perfect. They sat at his dining table. Nora took a bite and nearly melted. Oh my God. Good? This is incredible. How did you make something so simple taste this amazing? Practice and good ingredients. He twirled pasta on his fork. My mother would say it's acceptable. Just acceptable? She has high standards. I'm terrified to meet her then. The words came out without thinking, implying a future, implying meeting family. Nora felt her face heat. Sorry, I didn't mean to assume. She'd like you, Andrea said calmly. She appreciates directness and good appetite. He'd said it like meeting his mother was inevitable, like there was a future here that included family dinners and acceptance. They ate in comfortable silence for a while. Then Andrea said, Your Italian lesson. Let's start with basics. Okay, I'm ready. Buonasera, good evening. Buonasera, she repeated. Her pronunciation was terrible. Buona sera, he corrected gently. Emphasis on the second to last syllable. Buonasera, she tried again. Better. Good. Come stai? How are you? Come stai. Sto bene. I'm well. E tu? And you? They went through basic phrases. Greetings. Common expressions. Andrea was patient, correcting her pronunciation without judgment, occasionally smiling when she got something particularly wrong. You're better than you think, he said after half an hour. You're just being nice. I don't say things I don't mean. The intensity was back, in his eyes, in his voice. That focus that made her feel like the only person in the world. Can I ask you something? Nora ventured. Yes. Why did you invite me here, really? He set down his wine glass, studied her for a long moment. Because I wanted to spend time with you. Because when you knocked on my door asking for sugar, wearing unicorn slippers and looking frustrated, I thought you were beautiful. Because every time I see you in the hallway, I want the conversation to last longer. Because teaching you Italian seemed like a good excuse to see you more. Nora's breath caught. Oh, if that's too direct. No. She reached across the table, put her hand over his. It's not too direct. It's perfect. Because I've been hoping you'd want to see me more. I just wasn't sure if I was imagining things. His hand turned under hers, fingers intertwining. Large, warm, strong. You're not imagining anything. They stayed like that for a moment, connected, the city glittering outside, something real building between them. So this is a date, Nora said softly. This is a date. Good, just checking. He smiled, actually smiled. Full, genuine, transforming his usually serious face into something devastating. Would you like dessert? He asked. What do you have? Tiramisu. I made it this morning. You made tiramisu? I told you. I'm Italian. She laughed. Then yes, definitely yes, to tiramisu. They moved to his couch after dessert, which was as incredible as everything else he'd made. Sat close enough that their knees touched. Talked about everything. Her work representing authors, his import business, Chicago versus New York, favorite books, worst dates, family dynamics. Andrea was surprisingly easy to talk to once he opened up. Dry sense of humor, thoughtful observations. Questions that showed he was actually listening, not just waiting to talk. Around 11 p.m., Nora reluctantly said she should go. I have a morning call with a publisher. Need to be coherent. Andrea walked her to his door. They stood in the threshold, neither quite ready to end the evening. Thank you for tonight, Nora said. The dinner, the Italian lesson, the conversation, all of it. Thank you for coming. Can we do this again? Tomorrow? She laughed. Eager. I know what I want. God, the way he said things. Direct. Certain. No games. Tomorrow then, she agreed. My place? I can't cook like you, but I make decent pasta. I'll bring wine. Perfect. They stood there for another beat. Close enough that she could smell his cologne. Something subtle. Expensive. Very him. She should go. She should definitely go. But she didn't want to. Andrea's hand came up, fingers brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. The touch was gentle, deliberate. His thumb traced along her jaw. Nora. Yes? I'm going to kiss you now. Unless you object. Her heart hammered. I don't object. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to change her mind. She didn't. His lips met hers, soft at first, testing. She made a small sound in her throat and his hand slid into her hair, deepening the kiss. It was perfect, controlled but intense, restrained but promising more. The kind of kiss that made her forget her own name. When they broke apart, she was breathing hard. That was... Yeah, she agreed. Definitely yeah. He smiled against her lips, kissed her once more, brief and sweet. Good night, Nora. Good night, Andrea. She floated back to her apartment, closed the door, slid down it with a ridiculous smile on her face. Rachel was getting a very detailed phone call in exactly 5 minutes. Over the next 3 weeks, Nora and Andrea fell into a rhythm. Dinners together, Italian lessons that mostly turned into conversations and kissing. Morning coffee at his place or hers. Easy domesticity that felt natural despite the short time they'd known each other. Nora learned more about him. His family was from Sicily originally, settled in New York 3 generations ago. He had 2 brothers and a sister. His mother Lucia was formidable and an incredible cook. His father had passed 5 years ago. Family was everything to him. His import business was successful, legitimate, something he'd built from his father's smaller operation. He was proud of it, worked hard, kept irregular hours because international calls and shipments happened at strange times. But she also noticed things that didn't quite add up. The men in suits who came to his apartment weren't wine distributors. Their conversations in Italian had a weight to them that felt like more than business. The way people treated him in the neighborhood, especially at the Italian restaurant 2 blocks over, had a deference that seemed excessive for a wine importer. She didn't ask, didn't push. Whatever Andrea was beyond the man who cooked her dinner and kissed her senseless. She wasn't sure she wanted to confirm, until the day she couldn't avoid it anymore. She was coming back from a meeting in Midtown, around 6 p.m., carrying her laptop bag and takeout coffee, looking forward to seeing Andrea later that evening. As she approached their building, she noticed 2 men standing near the entrance. Not residents, not delivery guys, just standing there, watching. Something about them made her uncomfortable. The way they held themselves, the way they scanned the street. She slowed her pace, unsure whether to approach. Then Andrea appeared from inside the building. He wasn't alone. 3 men flanked him, all in dark suits. One of them was Marco, who she'd met briefly once before. Andrea had introduced him as a business associate. The others she didn't recognize. The 2 men who'd been waiting straightened. One of them stepped forward, hands visible but posture aggressive. Nora froze on the sidewalk, half hidden by a parked car. The man spoke in Italian. Fast, angry. She couldn't understand the words, but the tone was clear. Threat, demand. Andrea's response was calm, quiet. But his body language changed, became harder, more dangerous. The men around him shifted slightly, ready. The standoff lasted maybe 30 seconds. Andrea said something final, definitive. The 2 men looked at each other, then back at him. One of them started to argue. Marco moved. Not dramatically, just a small shift that put him slightly in front of Andrea. Protective. The message was clear. The men backed off, hands raised slightly in surrender. They walked away, glancing back once, but they walked away. Andrea watched until they turned the corner. Then he said something to Marco in Italian, hand on his shoulder, brief. Then he looked around, scanning the street. His eyes found her. She was caught. No way to pretend she hadn't seen. No way to unsee what she'd just witnessed. They looked at each other across the distance. His face was unreadable. He said something to the men with him. They nodded, dispersed. Then he walked toward her. Nora didn't move. Couldn't decide if she should run or stay, or pretend everything was normal. He stopped in front of her. "How much did you see?" "Enough." "How long have you been standing here?" "Long enough to know that wine importers don't usually have this kind of meetings on the street." Silence. His jaw tightened. She could see him calculating, deciding something. "Come upstairs," he finally said. "We need to talk." "Andrea, please, come upstairs. Let me explain." She should say no, should go to her own apartment and lock the door and rethink this entire relationship, should recognize the red flags and walk away. Instead, she said, "Okay." They rode the elevator in tense silence, walked to his apartment. He unlocked the door, held it open for her. His apartment looked the same. comfortable, safe. But now she saw it differently, noticed things she'd overlooked. The security system was more sophisticated than normal. The windows had additional locks. There was a room off the hallway that was always closed, that he'd never shown her. Andrea went to the kitchen, poured 2 glasses of whiskey, handed her one. "Sit, please." She sat on his couch. He sat beside her, angled toward her, close but not touching. "What you saw," he began. "That was business, legitimate business that sometimes requires unofficial negotiations." "Andrea." She set down her glass. "Don't do that. Don't treat me like I'm stupid. Those men weren't wine distributors. That wasn't a business negotiation. That was something else." He looked at her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "You're right. I'm sorry. You deserve honesty." He took a breath. "My family, the Benedetto family, we're part of an organization. A very old organization with roots in Sicily. My great-grandfather brought it here. My grandfather expanded it. My father ran it until he died. Now my older brother runs it. I'm second in command." "You're saying you're Mafia." The word hung between them, heavy, undeniable. "I'm saying I'm part of a family organization that operates in legal gray areas. Some of what we do is completely legitimate. The wine import business is real. The restaurant investments are real. But yes, there are other operations. There's a hierarchy. There are territories. And there are occasionally conflicts that need to be resolved. Like what just happened outside. Those men were from another family, making claims about territory that isn't theirs. I was explaining why their claims were invalid. Marco and the others were there to make sure the conversation stayed civil. And if it hadn't stayed civil, then it would have been handled. But it didn't come to that. It rarely does. Most business is done through conversation, respect, tradition. Violence is inefficient and draws attention no one wants. Nora tried to process this. The man who'd taught her Italian and made her cacio e pepe was part of the actual Mafia, the organization, the criminal organization. "The men who come to your apartment," she said slowly, "they're not wine clients. Some are. But many are family associates. Yes. And Marco? Is my right hand. Has been since we were teenagers. He handles security, logistics, personnel. Security." She laughed without humor. "Is that code for something?" "It means he makes sure I stay alive. And that people who need protecting are protected. People like me. People like you." She stood up, needing space, walked to his window, looked out at the city. "This is insane. This is absolutely insane. I've been dating a mobster for 3 weeks. You've been dating me, who happens to be part of an organization. That's a hell of a distinction. It's the only distinction that matters." He came up behind her, didn't touch her, but was close. "I'm still the same person who gave you sugar, who taught you how to make cacio e pepe, who listens when you talk about difficult clients and celebrates when you close a big deal. The organization is part of who I am, part of my family, my responsibility. But it's not all I am." She turned to face him. "Those men outside. What if they'd tried something? What if someone gets hurt? I do everything in my power to prevent that. I have rules, lines I don't cross. I don't deal drugs. I don't hurt civilians. I don't involve innocents. Everything I do is contained within our world, our rules, our consequences. But people do get hurt in your world. Sometimes, yes, when they break rules, when they threaten what's mine, when they leave no other choice. Have you hurt people?" He didn't flinch. "Yes." "Have you killed people?" "No. But I've been present when others have. And I've given orders that led to violence. I won't lie to you about that." Nora felt dizzy. This was too much, too real, too dangerous. Why are you telling me all this? You could have lied, could have kept it hidden. Because you deserve truth. Because I care about you. Because if we're going to continue this, you need to know exactly who I am, what I am, and you need to decide if you can accept it. And if I can't? His expression tightened. Pain flickered across his face. Then I'll respect that. I'll stay away from you. I'll make sure you're safe. But I'll let you go. Just like that? No, not just like that. It would destroy me. But I'd do it. Because your safety and your choice matter more than what I want. She searched his face, saw sincerity there, saw fear that he was trying to hide, fear that she'd walk away. Andrea. She stepped closer, put her hands on his chest, felt his heart racing under her palms. I should be scared right now. I should be running. Every rational part of my brain is screaming at me to get out. But I'm not scared. Not of you. I've seen you with me. I've seen how careful you are. How protective. I've seen the man who remembers how I take my coffee and asks about my day and makes me laugh. That's who you are to me. And yes, you're also part of this organization. This dangerous world I don't fully understand. But that doesn't change how I feel about you. How do you feel about me? She met his eyes. I'm falling in love with you. Maybe already have fallen. And that probably makes me crazy. And my friends would definitely say I've lost my mind, but it's true. I love you, the wine importer and the underboss and everything in between. His hands came up to frame her face. Nora, are you sure? Because once you're in my life, really in it, there's no pretending you don't know. There are risks. There are complications. I can protect you, but I can't promise there won't be moments like today where you see things that scare you. I don't need promises of perfection. I need honesty, which you just gave me. And I need to know that you'll always tell me the truth, that you'll keep me safe, that this is real. It's real. More real than anything I've felt before. I love you. I think I loved you from the moment you knocked on my door asking for sugar in those ridiculous slippers. She laughed, tears suddenly in her eyes. The unicorn slippers. The unicorn slippers. Looking frustrated and beautiful and completely oblivious to who I was. You saw me as just a neighbor, just a man. Not the Benedetto underboss. Just Andrea. And I needed that. Needed you. He kissed her then, deep and desperate and relieved. She kissed back with everything she had, hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, she said, "So we're doing this? For real? With everything out in the open?" "If you want to." "I want to. But I need you to promise me something. Anything. Don't ever lie to me about what you do. I don't need all the details. I don't need to know every operation. But if I ask, you tell me the truth. And if something puts me at risk, you tell me immediately. I promise. Complete honesty. Always. And I won't ask you to leave the organization. I know it's family. I know it's who you are. I accept that. But you have to accept that I'm going to worry. That I'm going to have hard days with this. That sometimes I might need space to process. I accept that, and I'll be here. However you need me to be. She nodded. Took a shaky breath. Okay then. We're doing this. We're doing this. They held each other for a long time. The city darkened outside. Inside, something new settled between them, built on truth and choice and love that was real enough to weather complications. Eventually, Nora said, "I should probably know more about your family, about the organization, if I'm going to be part of your life." "Tomorrow," Andrea said. "I'll tell you everything tomorrow. Tonight, I just want to be with you. No more heavy conversations. Just us. Just us sounds perfect. They made dinner together. Simple pasta, wine, easy conversation. Like before, but different, deeper, more real. Later, curled up on his couch, Nora said, "For the record, the unicorn slippers were a gift. I'm not actually that tacky." He laughed. Actually laughed. "I liked the slippers. They were very you. Unexpected, charming. Charming, sure. That's the word for them." The exact word. He kissed her temple. "Stay tonight?" "Yes, but fair warning. I need to be up early for a call." "I'll make you breakfast." "Italian breakfast? Is there any other kind?" She smiled against his chest. "I'm going to get spoiled." "Good. That's the plan." They moved to his bedroom around midnight. Fell asleep tangled together. Safe. Chosen. Real. The next morning, Andrea kept his promise. He told her about the family structure. His brother Vincent, the boss. His younger brother Luca, who handled legal businesses. His sister Gianna, who was brilliant with numbers and ran their financial operations. His mother, who knew everything and approved of nothing less than excellence. He explained territories, legitimate fronts, the difference between made men and associates. He told her about respect, honor, family loyalty, about the rules that governed everything, the codes they lived by. And he told her about the risks, rivals, law enforcement, internal conflicts, the constant weight of watching his back, protecting his people, maintaining balance. "Sunday dinners," he said over breakfast. "My mother hosts every Sunday. Big, loud, chaotic. The whole family comes. It's tradition. It's sacred. It's non-negotiable." "And you want me to come?" "I'd like you to meet them, but only when you're ready. No pressure." Nora thought about it. "Next Sunday? That fast?" "If I'm in this, I'm in this. Might as well meet the family." He looked at her with something like wonder. "You're incredible. You know that?" "I'm terrified, but I'm doing it anyway." That's the definition of courage. Sunday dinner at the Benedetto house in Brooklyn was exactly as advertised. Big, loud, chaotic, and wonderful. Lucia Benedetto was formidable, sharp-eyed, evaluating. She pulled Nora aside within 10 minutes of arrival. "So, you're the one who's been occupying my son's attention. I hope that's okay." He smiles more now, laughs. Seems lighter. "That's you?" "I'd like to think I contribute." Lucia studied her. "You know what he is? What the family does?" "I know enough." "And you stay anyway?" "I stay because I love him. Not despite what he is, because of who he is. All of it." Lucia's expression softened, just slightly. "Smart girl. Welcome to the family. But hurt him, and you'll answer to me." "Understood. Same goes for him hurting me." Lucia actually smiled. "I like her, Andrea," she called across the kitchen. "Keep this one." The rest of the family was equally intense but welcoming. Vincent, serious and measuring. Luca, charming and funny. Gianna, sharp and warm. Nieces and nephews running everywhere. Food covering every surface. By the end of the evening, Nora felt like she'd been absorbed into something bigger than herself. Something real and complicated and lasting. "They loved you," Andrea said on the drive back to Manhattan. "Your mother threatened me." That means she approves. If she didn't care, she wouldn't bother threatening. That's a terrifying system of approval. Welcome to the family. She looked at him. Really looked. Saw the happiness in his face, the relief. This had mattered to him. Her meeting them accepting her. It mattered. "I love you," she said. "I love you too." He glanced at her. "Think you can handle Sunday dinners every week?" "I think I can manage." Over the next few months, they fell into a rhythm. Work during the day, evenings together. Sometimes at his place, sometimes at hers. 3 doors apart, together whenever they wanted, separate when they needed space. It worked perfectly. She met Marco properly, learned he was protective and loyal and had a dry sense of humor. She met other associates, learned names and roles. She never asked for operational details, but understood the structure, the hierarchy, the world Andrea lived in. And sometimes she saw the darker side. Andrea coming home late with tension in his shoulders. Conversations that stopped when she entered the room. Marco and others moving with purpose that suggested trouble somewhere. But Andrea kept his promise. When she asked, he told her. Never graphic details, but enough truth that she understood. There were problems with rivals. There were internal issues. There was always something that needed managing, and she learned to accept it, to not panic when men in suits appeared, to trust that Andrea knew what he was doing, that he'd keep her safe, that he had rules and lines he wouldn't cross. 6 months after that first knock on his door, Andrea took her to dinner at a small Italian restaurant in Little Italy. Private room upstairs, candles, wine. His mother's recipe for ossobuco that the chef had made special. After dessert, he reached across the table, took her hand. I need to ask you something. Okay. This thing we have, living 3 doors apart, together but separate. It works for us, doesn't it? It does. I love having my own space, but knowing you're right there whenever I want you. I thought so. So here's my question. He pulled a small box from his jacket pocket. Opened it. A ring. Sapphire and diamonds in platinum. Stunning. Nora Moore, I love you. I want to marry you. But I'm not asking you to move in with me. I'm asking you to marry me and stay exactly where you are. 3 doors away. Partners in life but independent in space. Unconventional and perfect for us. What do you say? Nora stared at the ring. At him. At this ridiculous, perfect proposal. You're proposing marriage but not cohabitation? I'm proposing partnership. However it works for us. Breaking all the traditional rules because we make our own rules. She started laughing. Couldn't help it. It was so them. So perfect. Yes, God, yes, I'll marry you. And stay 3 doors away. And make our own rules. All of it. Yes. He slid the ring onto her finger. Stood. Pulled her up and into his arms. Kissed her like they were alone in the world. I love you, he said against her lips. I love you too. You ridiculous, perfect man. They married 4 months later. Small ceremony at a beautiful venue in Brooklyn. Family and close friends. Traditional, but with their own touches. When the officiant said you may kiss your bride, Andrea cupped her face and kissed her like he'd been waiting his entire life for this moment. At the reception, Lucia gave a toast. To my son and his bride, who prove that love doesn't follow rules, who build their life their way, who are stubborn and perfect together. Salute. Later, Nora and Andrea snuck away from the reception, drove back to their building, stood in the hallway between their 2 apartments. So, Nora said, your place or mine? Yours tonight, mine tomorrow. That's the beauty of this arrangement. Best decision we ever made. Married but 3 doors apart. Best decision I ever made was opening the door when you knocked asking for sugar. Best decision I made was wearing the unicorn slippers. He laughed, pulled her close. Come on, wife, let's go home. Whichever one we choose tonight. They went to her apartment, made love in her bed with the knowledge that tomorrow they could be in his. That they had each other and their space and everything in between. Years later, people would ask how they made it work. Marriage but separate apartments, together but independent. And they'd smile and say it was simple. They made their own rules, built their life their way. started with borrowed sugar and ended with forever. Nora had knocked on a stranger's door asking for something simple, and found everything she didn't know she needed. A man who saw her, who loved her, who gave her partnership without possession, who understood that sometimes the best relationships are the ones that break all the traditional rules. She'd knocked for sugar. She'd found home, 3 doors away from the love of her life, exactly where she belonged. Subscribe for more Mafia romance stories. Join our members area for exclusive content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload.